Let's see. Stun. You've come up with a new mechanic for stun. Stun characters suffer a -1d to skill, which comes out of raw, and attribute rolls for the rest of the round and for the next round. Now, if a character is hit by a number of stuns in the same round, equal to or greater to strength die, he or she falls unconscious for 2 minutes. There are no residual effects for stun after the scene is over.
That is correct. The rules as written encompass that. If a person takes a number of stun equal to the D that they have in strength, they're knocked unconscious for 2D minutes. The rules as written continue on to say that the person, even though they're not, bumping into walls or anything like that, they're still under the effects of that built-up stun for half an hour after the scene, unless they take 1 minute to rest. Well, I just think that's just way too complicated. I move from scene to scene, so there's none of this waiting half an hour kind of stuff. So to encompass my play style, I wanted stun to still have a detriment to a character, but I didn't want it to be like long-standing. So what I've done is stun will still be the -1d for the rest of that round and the next round per the rules. But what happens is instead of having residual stun, if they take a total number of stun, they're shot by a number of different people that is equal to or greater than, I think it's equal to or greater than their D and strength, and they're just knocked out. I think it's quick, it's easy.
And it also applies to, giant characters like Wookiees and whatnot.
Yeah, Wookiees with their 5D strength, they're just sort of a pain.
Yeah, that and I think Hergliks have a bonus to strength as well.
I believe Hergliks, Trandoshans, Wookiees, all of those guys. There's those other guys that have like that monstrous regeneration guy. I can't remember. They start with an A. Their whole culture is based upon just being super aggressive and beating on each other because everybody heals really fast. I can't remember the name of the race. But anyway, I like it. I'm looking forward to trying this one in playtest as well, and just kind of let people know how it works out. I do know there's another thing I want to do for playtest. It's come up a number of times. People have asked about it, which is suppressive fire. And I tell you what, I've gone back and forth with about 3 or 4 different things because I've never been happy with the suppressive fire rules from Rules of Engagement. You've read it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. My take on it, just kind of like, add a little twist to it. First of all, suppressive fire is a full round action. The character can perform no other actions, including moving or dodging. Okay, you're standing there just unloading your weapon. Now, you can do this with either a repeater weapon or you can do it with a single shot weapon. But what it is we're going to be using what are called bursts or bursts of fire. Now, for a repeating weapon, that would be equal to 20 shots for a single burst. For single shot weapons, the ammo expenditure is 5 + 1 for every shot fired. A zone that you're going to be covering is approximately a 2-meter area. An attacker may fire a number of bursts equal to half of their weapon skill rounded down per round, with a minimum of 1. And if a 1 is rolled on the wild die, it will result in a jam of your weapon and take 1d rounds to clear. So that's just the basic mechanic, what we're going to do with. Now, what happens is if you are using a repeater weapon, the attacker does not make an attack roll. He merely picks a target area he is suppressing. Repeater weapons make it harder for the defender to perform actions. In fact, what it does is going to give a +1 difficulty to all skills and ability rolls, not including damage resistance rolls, per burst fired. Now, a repeating weapon may spread a wider suppression zone, 1 additional adjacent zone per burst, and each additional burst counts towards the standard limit of bursts, which is, again, based on 1/2 of the weapon skill. So you can see very quickly, how it's going to make it very hard for someone to perform an action. Now, here's the thing. If a person, well, I'll go back to that. We'll do the single shot next. Single shot is the exact same thing, only for every bullet that they send down range, it's a +1 modifier instead of a +1 difficulty. And that's capped at +5. Now, the really cool thing that I like about this the most is that if the defender tries to perform an action while being suppressed and rolls a 1 on the wild die, they automatically get shot. Right there. Now, they can go off and make a dodge roll, but again, they're going to be assessed the penalty for being suppressed as well as multi-action if it's applicable, but there you go. I think it's elegant. I know it sounds long-winded, but I like it. Again, it's one of those things where if we get into a combat thing, I'd really like to see my guys try it out and see what happens.
Precisely. You and I were hammering out the amount of space a suppression field would be, and it went from 5 to maybe 3. I think it should be a decent amount wide because you're trying to keep your target down and not give them a chance to dodge or change cover.
Right. Well, what I went with is what is called wingspan. Now, in Star Wars, everything is done on meters, and it seems as though it seems to like to go on multiples of 5. So my original idea was, well, let's go with 5 meters. Well, 5 meters is about 10, 11 feet. That's a huge amount of space for a single person. So I got to thinking about it. I was like, okay, well, if I spread my hands out, my wingspan, tip to tip across my chest, is approximately what your height is. An average person is approximately 6 foot tall. Well, 6 foot is approximately 2 meters. So that's why I went with the 2 meter measurement, and that's still sort of open to debate. I mean, if you think about it this way, if you have somebody that's got a blaster skill of 6D, they're going to be able to throw 3 bursts downrange. Well, each one of those is 2 meters. So that would be an area of 6 feet, or 6 meters. 6 meters being about 15 feet. So they're able to lock down a 15-foot area, and everybody that tries to do something there is going to be at a +3 difficulty, which means that if they're at short range with you and they have a modifier, say 8 to hit you, all of a sudden it goes from 8 to 13 to 18 to 25. Just like that. Boom. Because they're being suppressed. I don't know. Pretty bad. We'll have to see what it's like. This is going to be more for the combat-heavy people. I don't think this is... this would be really interesting for like a Clone Wars era, Rise of the Empire,
mm-hmm.
Where there's a lot more combat. Maybe Special Forces kind of guys. In a standard game, intelligence-driven, role-playing, I don't think it's going to have a whole lot of play.
Right. Now, Don has added in a mechanic for concentrated fire as it applies to a repeating weapon. The attacker concentrates a volley of shots on a single target or zone, about 2 meters, which is, I like that, with the intention of increasing the level of damage. They make a standard attack at -2d per burst and 1d damage per... adding 1 die of damage per burst, and this also takes 20 rounds.
Right. So basically, if you were to, like again, earlier, if you had a 6D blaster skill and you're throwing that down, you could, well, no, you can't. You'd have to have a 7-die blaster skill, and then you're still only rolling 1D. So, I don't know. I'm still kicking that one around. I might actually make that a 1-for-1. Making it instead, it'll be a -1 per burst, +1 damage. That way if a person had like a skill of 6, they would be shooting downrange at a 3D, and say that they're using a heavy blaster rifle of some type, say it's a 5D, then it'd be 8D damage. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, especially to a person.
I don't know. We'll have to kick it around. Maybe I'll come up with a chart for that one. That one's still out to lunch. Let us know what you guys think about that one. And the other one, I guess, unless you got something else you want to add to that, Daniel. I'm not happy with that mechanic. I don't know. I think it's going
to need tweaking.
Okay. Did you take a look at the sweeping fire?
Let's see. A player attempts to cover a wide field of fire at the expense of accuracy. Same thing. Single burst 20 rounds. For a 2-meter zone, you make a standard attack at -1 die, and all attacks per additional target or zone adjacent to the first. And this is -3 die damage each hit.
Yeah, I can't remember where I came up with that number. I'm actually thinking about scratching the entire sweeping fire thing, and just go with the rules that I have for the suppressive fire and tweak the concentrated fire, and I think I'd be happy.
I'm going to have to agree there. I don't really see sweeping fire as doing anything different. And I've watched several examples of sweeping fire with repeating blasters in the Clone Wars, and, outside of taking a number of droids down, I don't see, any difference.
Right, exactly. And I'm with you. I mean, they rolled a bunch of ones. They're droids.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking of that, I'm going to go a script review here real quick, because
Okay.
I came across this today, and I'm still unclear how I want to pursue this. I don't have a lot of people wanting to play droids in my games, but I've been kicking around the idea of doing it. Okay? And, I agree that droids should have character points that they can spend and use and, use in a game, all right, to augment their roles.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think they should have access to force points?
Heck no. They don't have...
Well, here's the thing. They are a PC, and it's a rule mechanic. I mean, but they're not a living creature either.
No, it's just like the Force has no direct effect on them either.
Well, that is true. I guess there is an upside to that. So I mean, as a game master, if a character came to you or a player came to you and said, "Look, I really want to play a droid character. I think it'd be really cool." You explain to them, "Look, there's a big prejudice towards droids. There's going to be places you can't go. You're a second-class citizen. You don't really have any rights. You're property. And oh, by the way, you don't get any force points either."
Yeah, that kind of hurts. I would say yes, but all they can get is 1.
I don't know. That's a good point. I do believe they should at least get 1. Oh, and that reminds me, you see where Lavish has got 3?
Oh yeah, that's right.
The TIE Fighter guy?
How did you manage that? I guess it's just heroic actions through combat.
Yep, have to be. I mean, he is a total badass.
Yeah, that's true.
So, well, anyway, I wanted to ask you that question. Sorry I went off script, but
No, that's fine.
Getting us back on script, though, Adrian K. Posted earlier that he's currently working on the Force cards. We talked about that last time.
Mm-hmm.
Threw a shout out to the community. And for those of you who have not been following this, these will be double-sided, and they'll be the size of playing cards, like Magic cards. Now, one side will be the description of the Force power, the page reference, an icon denoting whether it's light side, dark side, or Sith. And the other side will have a picture of the Force power in use. And as I understand it, as of this recording, Adrian currently has all of the powers from the main rulebook done. And
Awesome.
He's moving ahead.
Awesome. I sent a message out to Brett about running Life Day delivery, and I haven't heard anything back from him. Please note that he is the owner of a game development studio, and he may be in the process of going on to that next game.
Could be.
That's just
Or he could just be a loser.
I am in the process also of working on the final bit of Asylum. I've got one more room of the map to complete and then to wrap it up. And I'll have it typed out probably within the next 2 weeks.
Any idea how long that's going to come out to be?
I'm hoping it can be all the adventure can be played within the space of 1 to 2 hours. I'm setting it up kind of along the lines of the Spec Force missions that Peter Schweighofer wrote.
Mm-hmm.
And just quick one shots. And
that was kind of funny. I went through my stuff the other day. I found all of them.
Oh yes,
I have them all. As far as I know, there is only about 5 or 6, and he has been unable to deny or confirm that there are that many, and I appreciate the limitations he's under.